proud to get to be with you today, Madison. These are the front lines in the battle for the future of our country. This is where the line has been drawn in the sand, and I am proud to stand with you today in solidarity. I'm here today as a patriot, as a taxpayer, as a former union member, and as the wife of a union member. What I have to say today, I say to our good, patriotic brothers and sisters who are in unions. I say this too proudly, standing here as the daughter of a family full of school teachers. My parents, my grandparents, aunts, cousins, brother, sister, so many good folks who living on teachers' pensions, having worked or are working in education. A pension is a promise that must be kept. Now, your Governor Scott Walker understands this. He understands that states must be solvent in order to keep their promises. And that's what he's trying to do. He's not trying to hurt union members. Hey, folks, he's trying to save your jobs and your pensions. You know, but unfortunately, some of your union bosses don't understand this, and they don't care if union members have to be laid off. No, they want to protect their own power, and if that means forcing a governor to lay off union workers, then so be it. They've proven that. It's fine with them. But that's not real solidarity. Real solidarity means coming together for the common good. This Tea Party is real solidarity. Well, I'm in Madison today because this is where real courage and real integrity can be found. Courage is your governor and your legislators standing strong in the face of death threats and thug tactics. Courage is you all standing there with them. You saw the forces aligned against fiscal reform. You saw the obstruction and the destruction. You saw these violent rent-a-mobs trash your capital and vandalize business. Madison, you held your ground. Your governor did the right thing. And you won. Your beautiful state won. And you know what? People still have their jobs because of it. That's courage and that's integrity. And you know, that's something that's sorely missing in the Beltway today. Because let me tell you what isn't courageous. It's politicians promising the American voters that as we drown in $14 trillion of debt, that they're going to cut $100 billion out of this year's budget. But then they cave on that and they reduce it down to $61 billion after they get elected. Then they get in there and they strike a deal and decide now they'll reduce that down to $38 billion. And then after some politics as usual and accounting gimmicks, we find out it's not $38 billion in cuts. You know that $38 billion? We don't even have it. We're borrowing it. We borrow from foreign countries to give to foreign countries, and that's insanity. We find out it's not even $38 billion. It's less than $1 billion in real cuts. Folks, that $352 million in real cuts, that's more than the federal government's going to spend in the time that it takes us to hold this rally today. That is not courage, that's capitulation. Now, there is a lesson here in the Beltway Politico, something that they need to understand. The lesson comes from here in Madison. So, our lesson is to the GOP establishment first. And yeah, I'll take on the GOP establishment. What more can they say about us, you know? So to the GOP establishment, if you stand on the platform, if you stand by your pledges, we will stand with you. We will fight with you, GOP. We have your back. Together we will win because America will win. We didn't elect you just to rearrange the deck chairs on a sinking Titanic. We didn't elect you just to stand back and watch Obama redistribute those deck chairs. What we need is for you to stand up, GOP, and fight. Maybe I should ask some of the Badger women's hockey team, those champions, maybe I should ask them if we should be suggesting to GOP leaders they need to learn how to fight like a girl. And speaking of President Obama, I think we ought to pay tribute to him today on this Tax Day Tea Party because really he's the inspiration for why it is that we're here today. That's right, the Tea Party movement wouldn't exist without Barack Obama. You see, candidate Obama didn't have a record while he was in office, but President Obama certainly has a record, and that's why we're here. And hey, media, it's not inciting violence, and it's not hateful rhetoric to call someone out on their record, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it to be clear. That's right, we're here, we're clear, get used to it. Candidate Obama promised that he would be fiscally responsible. He promised to cut the deficit in half, but President Obama tripled it. Candidate Obama promised that fiscal responsibility, but President Obama flushed $1 trillion down the drain on a useless stimulus package, and then he bragged about the jobs he created in congressional districts that don't even exist. That's right. On this, White House, you lie. The only thing that $1 trillion travesty stimulated was a debt crisis and a Tea Party. Now the left's irresponsible and radical policies awaking to sleeping America that we understood finally what it was that we were about to lose. We were about to lose the blessings of liberty and prosperity. They caused the working men and women of this country to get up off their sofas, to come down from the deer stand, get out of the duck blind and hit the streets, come to the town halls, and finally the ballot box. And Tea Party Americans won an electoral victory of historic proportions last November. We the people, we rose up and we decisively rejected the left's big government agenda. We don't want it, we can't afford it, and we are unwilling to pay for it. But what was his reaction to this mandate for fiscal sanity? Less than 90 days after the election, in his State of the Union address, President Obama told us, nah, the era of big government is here to stay and we're going to pay for it whether we want to or not. Instead of reducing spending, they're going to win the future by investing more of your hard-earned money in some cockamamie, harebrained ideas like more solar shingles, more really fast trains, some things that venture capitalists will tell you are non-starters. We're flat broke, but he thinks these solar shingles and really fast trains will magically save us. So now he's shouting, all aboard his bullet train to bankruptcy. Win the future? WTF is about right. And when Wisconsin's own Paul Ryan presented a plan for fiscal reform, Presenting that plan, what was Obama's response? He demonized the voices of responsibility with class warfare and with fear-mongering. And I say personally to our president, hey, parent to parent, Barack Obama, for shame for you to suggest that the heart of the common sense conservative movement would do anything to harm our esteemed elders, to harm our children with Down syndrome, to harm those who are most in need. No, see, in our book, you prioritize appropriately, and those who need the help will get the help. The only way we do that is to be wise and prudent and to budget according to the right priorities. Now, our president isn't leading, he's punting on this debt crisis. The only future that Barack Obama is trying to win is his own re-election. He's willing to mortgage your children's future to ensure his own. And that is not the audacity of hope. That's cynicism. Piling more debt onto our children and our grandchildren, it's not courage. No, that's cowardice. But did you notice when he gave that polarizing speech last week, there was a little gem in the speech. Maybe you missed it. But he spoke about the social contract and the social compact. Well, Mr. President, the most basic tenet in that social compact is adhering to the consent of the governed. That would be we the people. President Obama, you do not have our consent. You didn't have it in November, and you certainly don't have it now. You willfully ignored the will of the American people. You ignored it when you rammed through Obamacare. You ignored it when you drove up the debt to $14.5 trillion. You ignored it when you misrepresented your deficit spending. You ignored it when you proposed massive tax increases on the middle class and on our job creators. You ignored it when you went to bat for government-funded abortions, and yet you threw our brave men and women in uniform under the bus, Mr. Commander-in-Chief. You ignored it when you got us into a third war for fuzzy and inconsistent reasons, a third war that we cannot afford. You ignore it when you apologize for America while you bow and kowtow to our enemies and you snub our allies like Israel. And you ignore it when you manipulate the U.S. oil supply. You cut off oil development here, and then you hypocritically praise foreign countries for their drilling. And when hardworking families are hit with $4 and $5 a gallon gas, and your skyrocketing energy and food prices as you set out to fundamentally transform America, you ignore our concerns and you tell us we just better get used to it. Well, Mr. President, we're not going to get used to it. Not now, not never. You ignored us in 2010, but you cannot ignore us in 2012. Mr. Obama, Mr. President, you and your cohorts threw all the hatred and all the violence that you could at these good folks here in Madison, Wisconsin, but you lost here. And Madison, you defended that 2010 electoral mandate. You are heroes. You are patriots. And when the history of this Tea Party movement is written, what you accomplished here will not be forgotten. Your historic stand brought down the curtain on the last election, and the 2012 election begins here. We will take the courage and the integrity that you showed all of America. We will take it and we will win back our country. God has shed his grace on thee, America. We will not squander what we have. We will fight for America. And it starts here in Madison, Wisconsin. It starts here. It starts now. camps to call out the liberal left and let them know, Mr. President, game on. God bless you, Wisconsin, and God bless America.